There we go.
Yep.
Look at there, Caleb.
Hey.
Oh, Caleb.
Technical difficulties. You can't beat it.
Yep.
We're still trying to let some of the people that were watching maybe find this and tune back in, but apologize for the technical difficulties. You know, we noticed that it froze up as well on our screen while we were talking about it. I was talking about Carver, Montgomery, and Pike Road. It'll be a big game down there around the Montgomery region on Friday night. That'll be for region championship. Another one that could potentially be for region championship, Helena at Benjamin Russell will be a big game at Benjamin Russell on Friday night. If Benjamin Russell wins and Homewood wins Friday, it sets up a three-way tie at the top of that region, and then it gets interesting. And you know, for Helena, I think they would end up being out because their non-region opponents would be Jackson Olin, who's not very good, Buckhorn, who has had an okay year, and Chelsea, who hadn't had a very good year. So I think if Benjamin Russell wins Friday, it'll set them up to host. The other game we were going to talk about, Homewood at Briarwood. It's a big game. Briarwood's actually a 4-point favorite over Homewood. And I'll tell you, Bo, I watched Benjamin Russell and Briarwood last week, you know, and you've seen how that game ended and everything. Briarwood's got some big old dudes, man. They got some players on defense that can go, and they got some big guys. And then Etowah at Coleman. It's a non-region game on Friday. Were you kind of surprised to see Coleman as a 24-point favorite?
I was, but
they've gotten better since that loss to Mars Hill, though.
And
to
a lot of
start the
people are buying into how bad the Cherokee game was last week. So, I mean, I kind of see what they're saying, but, I mean, it's a tough one. Still getting blotchy signal.
We apologize for if it's delaying and shorting out, which it kind of looks like it is a little bit on Facebook. We apologize for the technical difficulties. We've tried to get it to load up correctly, and yeah, as Brad Watkins said, good old interwebs.
Yeah.
So stay with us, bear with us. We apologize. We hadn't had any issues. First time we've had any issues, you know, inside here, and so not sure what the deal is, but hopefully you guys can still hear us and you know, keep up with us and let us know right here in the comments, you know, if you have any issues on your end. But we're going to get into our Watkins heating and cooling games of the week now. We appreciate Brad Watkins, who you see commenting right here, so you can go to his page and check him out. We appreciate him and his sponsorship. And look, it's that time of year. I mean, it was cold last week when we were doing the show. It's hot tonight. It's hot this week. It's supposed to get up to 80-something this weekend. Then it's going to get back down in the 60s the week after once we get into November. So, hey, look, it's that time of year. You better have your heating and cooling unit up to date, ready to go. Brad Watkins is the guy to call if you're in Northeast Alabama. You can see his number right there at the top of the screen. Click on his page right here on our Facebook page as you see him commenting and stuff, and find his number, give him a call, let him come out and do some good work for you. And, again, we appreciate him sponsoring this segment each and every week on the road to the blue map. So it is time for the Watkins heating and cooling games of the week. And, Bo, we got a big one to get things started right here. Highland home at Reeltown. It is a region championship, and it is a battle of undefeated teams. Highland home 9-0, 6-0 in the region. Reeltown 8-0, 6-0 in the region. Reeltown had a game canceled with Dave earlier this year. They would be 9-0 because Reeltown, from what I've seen, would have beaten Dave this season.
Reeltown's the real deal.
They are. No, they're the real deal. And these two teams, you look at it for Highland home, they've outscored their opponents 391-52 this year. They've had 5 shutouts, including their last 4 games. They've not given up a point now in 4 consecutive games. You know, it's been just dominant from the Highland home part, and they've scored 35 or more in every game this season. They're averaging 43.4 points per game, giving up 5.7. Their closest win is a 42-21 win over Goshen this season. You look on the other side for Reeltown, they've been dominant as well, 378-75 in one less game than Highland home has played. They're averaging more points per game. They got a big win over 5A Tallahassee to start the year in a huge rivalry game, 41-14. They've scored 40 or more in every single game this season. They're averaging 47.2 points per game. They're giving up a little bit more at 9.3 points per game. But I hadn't seen Highland home. I don't know if they're taking their guys out. I know I did Reeltown and Horseshoe Bend, and Reeltown was taking their guys out late in the game, and Horseshoe Bend scored on their second string. I imagine that's happened a couple of times this year. I don't think the starters have given up very much at all. So this is going to be a huge game. Reeltown, I think, is glad to have this game at home. Both these teams are hosting no matter what, but you want to win the region, you know, and you want to be the 1 seed, and you want to set yourself up to be able to go on a big run. And I think that they can do that by getting a win here. So it should be a really fun game and a big game down there between Highland Home and Reeltown on Friday night. Another big one that we talked about a little bit earlier, Thomasville at Mobile Christian. Thomasville 7-0, 6-0 in the region. Mobile Christian 9-0, they're 6-0 in the region. Another region championship, and it is a huge game. You look at it for Thomasville, they've outscored their opponents 243-98. Pretty good, right? You know, well, you look at Mobile Christian, they've outscored theirs 379-42 on the season. They're giving up 4.6 points per game. They gave up 21 points. They've only given up 21 points in 8 games this season versus teams from Alabama. 21 of the 42 that they've given up this year came in a win over Athens Academy out of Georgia. So from the state of Alabama, in 8 games, they've only given up 21 total points this season.
That's incredible.
Thomasville's going to have their work cut out as they travel to Mobile Christian. They had a big win over W.S. Neal, who's 6-2. That was their closest game of the year at 34-28. That 41-21 win over Athens Academy was the closest game for Mobile Christian. Look, Mobile Christian's favored by 13. I think they're rightfully favored in this game as well. But going to be a very, very interesting game. And, you know, look, Thomasville, they can sneak up and beat you at any moment. They beat an undefeated Dadeville team in the second round last year that I thought Dadeville should have easily been able to win the football game. But Thomasville's so experienced, and that community's like some other communities where you kind of have an expectation to win, and I think they have that there at Thomasville.
Next game is going to be Southside Gadsden. We always got to say that, not Southside Selma, Southside of Gadsden, is traveling to Moody. Now, this game is going to be very interesting one.
Keep going.
This game is going to be a very interesting one where, you know, I said this last week, and I wholeheartedly mean it. If Miles Holcomb can win this game and win this region outright, go over into the playoffs and get a win or two into these playoffs, I honestly think he's got to be in consideration for Coach of the Year.
I agree.
When you lose your starting quarterback, a guy you were going to base your offense around, basically, that's no disrespect to Mason Teague and some of these other guys, but Gage was going to be the guy that was going to be their trigger man. That was the guy that's going to get them going. To be down at 1.15 players this season, to go into a region with Moody and Leeds, and to win that region outright with 15 injuries, one of those being your quarterback and many, many other good football players. Scotty Moats is another one. You have to consider Miles Holcomb for Coach of the Year. And if that happens, hats off to him because he's earned it. Southside has earned everything they've gotten this year. They've been doubted by many. They have quietly went and took care of business. Now they're sitting here at 7-1, 5-0 in region play, and has a chance to win the region outright. They still have a chance, even if they lose this game, to kick to a 3-way tie and win it. But you know what? He ain't wanting none of that. He's wanting to go in there and take care of business. Here's another key factor in this game, and I'm glad we have this game in our Watkins heating and cooling games of the week, is because how does Moody bounce back from a devastating rivalry loss to Leeds?
On a last-second field goal that was blocked.
Could you imagine the locker room after?
Yeah.
So now you got to turn right back around and get up for this game in a no-win situation for winning the region no more. That's over and done with. They don't have the points to win this region. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So you tell me, this is a very tough game for Jake Gaines to get his guys back up for.
You're going to find out a lot about his leadership, I think, Friday night with how his team shows up and responds from that on Friday night. You know, you can't let Leeds beat you twice. And that's what happens if you don't show up prepared for this game on Friday night.
Now, Jake Gaines is a fantastic coach, and he's one of the most sought-after coaches. And a lot of teams would love to have Jake Gaines, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm sure there's teams reached out to him already. But he loves Moody, and he wants to right that ship. So hopefully, he stays there for a long time, and that community loves him to death and does a lot of good things. But that's two really good, really young coaches right there that could win that game. And for Southside Gadsden, this is a precedented situation they're in to where they could win this region outright with a win with no questions asked. This next one, we're going to talk about Centerpoint as traveling to Oxford. You know, Centerpoint, again, quietly having a fantastic year. They're 7-1, 4-1 in region play. Oxford 6-2, 4-1 in region play. everything's on the line for Oxford right here. Oxford is an 11-point favorite in this game. If Oxford can win this game, they will be hosting in the first round. If Oxford loses this game, they're going to travel in the first round. This is a must-win for Sam Adams. Two great leaders in this game. You got George Bates and you got Sam Adams, two of our favorite coaches, two guys we've spent a lot of time with. Winner hosts, loser travels to a 3 seed. And I don't have to tell you this, Caleb. Anytime the playoffs roll around, your last thing on your mind is you're wanting to do is travel. You want that familiarity. I can't say that word. Familiarity. You want that in these playoff scenarios to where everything's what you're used to, everything's comfortable. So look for a really good 4-quarter game in that one. And, both of these teams have lost to Clay Chalkville, obviously, because Clay Chalkville has beaten just about everybody they play. They have beaten everybody they played this year. And then the other loss for Oxford was to a really, really good was it Hartselle that beat them?
Yeah.
Hartselle
22-21.
22-21. So that was a very good football game. But anyways, that game is going to be a 4-quarter game with two great coaches there.
No doubt.
Now it's time for our game of the week. This one gets no bigger. Caleb, I'm going to talk about Catholic a good bit, and I'll kick it over to you for the Andalusia portion of this thing. The team in the South, the 4A team in the South that is getting the least amount of love but is in the best scenario possible is Montgomery Catholic. I actually called Juice today, their head coach, good friend of mine. Talked to him on the phone today for about 10 minutes. I told him, Coach, you're in a perfect scenario because nobody's talking about you for once. Usually you're the headliner and you're the one that circled. But this season there's so many good teams in 4A South that it's been kind of quiet. He goes, you know what? I love you to death, Bo, but I wish you wouldn't even have called because I don't want us mentioned at all. But I said, Coach, I know you don't, but since I got you on the phone, let's talk a little bit. I said, Coach, you've outscored your opponents 408-18 on the year. That's not a misprint, Caleb. 408-18, they've outscored their opponents. The closest game they've had is a 21-0 victory over 6A McGill-Tulane in week 1. 282-0 in the last 6. They've outscored their opponents. Caleb's missed 3 games this year. Caleb McCreary, their star quarterback, he still rushed for 800 yards and thrown for 1,000 with 15 touchdowns. Josh Griffith, their running back, has rushed for 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns. They have an outstanding offensive line that has 2 standout sophomores. Both of these guys are going to be playing college football one day. One named Burns, the other one's named Daniels. Both of these guys are in the 6'3" range. One's 300 pounds, one of them's 260 pounds. That's who leads their offensive line. It just went completely out. Let's just finish it. It'll either pick up or not. It don't matter. On top of that, Caleb, when you're outscoring your opponents 45.3 to 2 points per game, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, big time recipe for success. And then you look over on the Andalusia side, they've outscored their opponents 386-68. They're averaging 42.8 points per game. They're giving up 7.5. Their closest game's a 27-10 win over Bibb County, who is 8-1 in 4A South. Look, both teams have had this game circled. They knew they were going to play it all year. They knew this game was coming down the line, and they've both been ready for it. Neither one they're going to get a challenge this Friday night. It comes at a great time right here before the postseason. You don't want to go into the postseason untested. Well, both these teams are going to be tested in this game right here. And, I think you look at it last year, this game kind of got Andalusia going a little bit. They lost the game. They, found something afterwards.
I was at that game.
Yeah, and it kind of got them going a little bit, I think. So here's the biggest thing. We've talked about how loaded 4A South is. But in my opinion, these two teams could match back up. So you can't put a ton into this game. It's kind of like Fife and Pisgah last week. We can see them matching back up. We've seen Thompson in the past maybe not play their best game against Hoover the first time, knowing, hey, we're going to see them on down the line. We don't want to show too much. So I'm interested to see how both these coaches, you want to win the region, you want to go undefeated, you want to do all those type of things, but I'm just going to be interested to see if both these coaches maybe keep some plays and keep some things close to the vest, don't really show them in this game, anticipating that we could see a rematch of this game on down the line. But it's going to be a fun game, and I think it's big that it's at Catholic this year as well.
Yeah, because last year that game was at Andalusia, which is a fantastic place to watch a football game.
Yeah.
I went down there and watched that game firsthand. Catholic dominated the regular season game, but didn't go without something that actually hampered them over into the playoffs. Caleb had a real bad high ankle sprain. They lost their best offensive lineman early in that game last year, and those two things ended up ultimately costing them down the stretch in the playoffs. So this year, I hope everybody stays safe, the best team wins, and I hope they do rematch. But I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to be honest with you,
It's going
Caleb.
to be hard to rematch.
Rematch this year.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to run across Hanley and Jackson and
Jacksonville
and Bibb County.
And then possibly Anniston getting hot at the right time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to cross back across this time. But
we'll see.
see.
Loaded. So it's going to be fun.
I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, no, that does it for us this week. So, hey, we appreciate a lot of you sticking with us through the technical difficulties.
Sorry about that,
Yeah, we apologize for it. Again, tune in every Saturday about 9:30. Get on Facebook, YouTube, whichever it is. Check us out. Myself, Bo, Corey LeBounty. We're going to break down. Corey is from Mobile. Corey gives us a good kind of look at all the Mobile area games. And if you love high school football the way we do, you want to keep up with those because it's about to be playoff time. It's about to be time to kind of see how all those games go. So, again, appreciate all y'all sticking with us through the technical difficulties. We appreciate Brad Watkins, Watkins Heating and Cooling, sponsoring our last segment with the Watkins Heating and Cooling Games of the Week. Make sure to check them out. And, again, you can see his number right there at the top left of your screen. He's been commenting on our pages and stuff, on the shows. You can go to the show's going to be in 2 different spots now because we had to go live twice. But you can go find him, go click on his page, get all his information from there. But it's that time of year. You better have your heating and cooling unit ready to go because during the day you're going to need it on cool. During the night you're going to need it on heat in order to stay warm at night. And it's that weird time of year. I don't like it. I don't like having to wake up in the morning and put on, jackets. And then,
me, I wish it's 40 year round.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you love it. So, but again, tune in on Saturday. Would love to have you guys on and, come hang out with us, talk about all the games, all the action, see all the different scores. And we'll be back again, start gearing towards the playoffs and which teams are going to make Bryant-Denny Stadium to go play for a state championship this year. So it should be a lot of fun. So for Bo Starkey, I'm Caleb Brooks. We'll see you again next week right here with Average Joe Sports Talk and Road to the Blue Mat.